Hi, it's been a while. Just got back from vacation. But this one was hilarious. This one passed me, this truck passed me while I was driving home. Alberta flag, strong and free. Is anyone feeling free right now? Let me see if I can reposition this. Yeah, maybe not. Doesn't matter. So I saw that and I giggled for a moment because I thought that was pretty funny. But I thought I'd ask some of the questions. So some weird ones that are showing up with groups are like having Alberta being landlocked. And I don't think that that has anything to do with anything because if you check in Europe, they have about 16 countries that are landlocked. Africa, 16 countries. You can keep going down the list, but there's a lot of countries that are landlocked. So I don't think that should be a point in any of the discussions. But what I was looking at was CPP. So independent Alberta, and this is the really funny thing, is that it says Alberta hypothetically has $334 billion in CPP. So right now our population is about 5 million, and 1.25 million are still under the age of 18, which means they haven't contributed. So right now, again, hypothetically, 334 billion in CPP. How do we acquire that as independent Alberta? Will the government of Canada hand that over to us? No questions asked? Or what? Also, who would be managing the funds, right? The funds for your retirement, the funds for your future. Okay, so those are some of the questions that I'm asking. I also looked into student loans, federal student loans for Albertans. And right now it's saying there's about 745,000 students in Alberta. Doesn't give a breakdown whether it's part-time, full-time, what have you. And then it's also stating that they don't actually have the numbers for what the students owe in federal student loans. So in my opinion, I want those student loans taken away, wiped clean. And I just did a couple of estimates. So let's say that there were actually 745,000 students full-time, all on loans. And I just did like 15,000. So 15,000 per one of those students is about $11 billion. I think that all of the student loans, federal student loans, including provincial as well, as independent Alberta, should be completely wiped away. So that's one of my questions. CPP is one of my questions. And then first houses for young individuals. The individuals under 30 have the opportunity right now to break out of the matrix, to break out of the simulation of being owned by the government. If you look at the student loans, they are still to this day on my credit report or on my Equifax. I spoke with my mother, and her student loans from the 1960s are still on hers. So to me, that is a form of ownership, and I'd like it to be wiped away, completely wiped away. I'd also like free secondary education, just like the Nordics. Makes us better, stronger, and then when you are starting your life, you don't start it in debt. And I think that's one of the craziest things. When I went to NAIT a long time ago, my first semester at NAIT, there was somebody selling credit cards in the main lobby. So it's like the matrix is trying to get you in debt before you even start your life. So this is really, 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 really important to anyone under the age of 30. And this is my third question that I've been asking. How can young individuals buy their first house? And I don't believe that this is true at all, because I've spoken to a lot of people that are purchasing their first house. And right now it says you only need 5% to purchase your first house. So about, $400K for a house, about 20 grand. That's not true. I've spoken with multiple individuals that have tried their hardest with mortgage brokers, with banks, and they're asking for upwards of $75,000 cash to buy your first house, to buy a $400,000 house. So there is a huge gap. Anyone under the age of 30 is not given the ability to even start their life however they choose to without being in debt and being choked by money, as well as, and it's funny because CPP, they keep saying, oh, it won't be around at your age when you retire. So really think about that too. Is that 33 or 334 billion worth being owned? Is those student loans worth being owned? So they are trapping young individuals, and always have been, at least for the last 3-4 decades, to not start your life in the green. Which pill are we taking, right? How much more of the Kool-Aid can we keep drinking? And then here's another one. The proposed pipeline that Alberta's been talking with Donald Trump with. They have a $2 billion budget. How about we take 0.25 of a percent, not even 1%, 0.25 of a percent, and give it back to all of the Albertans. If we give $1 million to each Albertan, that will only cost 0.25 of a percent for that pipeline budget. I hope everyone is really starting to understand how fucked up this is, because none of it makes sense. The numbers don't make sense. It's all about this ownership bullshit, which started a long time ago, but that doesn't matter. We have the opportunity now to completely release ourselves from that. And it seems like our leaders and our flag, strong and free, are not listening, are not even taking into account. Their bank accounts are getting fuller, and they're traveling the world, and they're acting happy when the majority of Albertans are choking. So these groups and coalitions that are moving forward, personally, I don't think they need to waste their gas and drive around. I think they need to be speaking to anyone under the age of 30 and showing them just, some of the fake numbers that exist, and letting them know that they're going to be in prison for the rest of their life if they don't start to take some action. So the first thing I was looking at was CPP, and with the 334 billion distributed over 3.75 million people in Alberta that are over the age of 18, you get about $89,000. I don't know if that's true or not, you guys. But my proposition is to take the $2 billion proposed budget, if that were to go through, And usually in any budget, in construction and development, you have a 10% contingency across the board. That's usually how it works, 10% contingency. Take 0.25 of that, 0.25% of that, and give every single Albertan over the age of 18 $1 million. Nobody would even notice. And that is one hell of a start for anyone under the age of 30 and a very, very wealthy Alberta, independent Alberta. So anyways, those are my thoughts right now, especially when that truck passed me and I had to giggle. Alberta, strong and free? Oh, and that's another one. Every time I hear the leaders of the free world are meeting in Canmore for a discussion, if we were actually free, why would they voice free? Why would they have to verbalize free world? Think about that. So hopefully this gets out to more individuals under the age of 30. Your future is in your hands right now, and I support you in that. And I think this is one of the best ways for you to start in the green for your future. Have a good day.